My name is Jolene. I am hosting this webinar today. Most of you has met me and not maybe some with my colleagues, Mika, Calvin, or even Yvonne. Our company is called ARE Property, and I am based in Melbourne. We also have an office in Plaza Mont Kiara in Malaysia. Now, the good thing is both offices are licensed, fully licensed real estate company in both countries. Yeah. So this webinar that you're attending right now, this is not an advertised event, yeah? Some of you may have seen my Facebook advertisements from time to time. And this is just part of our continuous education to people who are already in our database, who have embarked on this journey of, in trying to get to know more about Melbourne property or ready to buy a property. It's suitable for parents who are looking for accommodation, for the kids who are studying here, or or investing, or maybe future migration. And this particular webinar is for Melbourne. Yeah. Today, quick overview. We'll be looking briefly at Melbourne's housing market. We're looking at demand, supply, the current market condition, market trends, and key location. A bit on financing and projects. As you have seen on my latest advertisement, I mean the little image that I did, we will be joined by a registered migration agent who is based in KL. He will join us for 5 minutes, introducing himself, his company, and how he helps Malaysian people or families migrating to Australia. So that's a bonus one. Hope you guys will like this. Yeah. Okay. Now let's start. So if you have came to our March physical event in KL, you would have seen some of these information. So Australian property market last year, prices were supposed to come down as what people were expecting because of, interest rate increases and all that, but they actually went up. Melbourne's overall growth was a bit slower than some other states. If you have been following, like we didn't grow as much as say some states like Western Australia or South Australia. So it's growing, but it's not as much as the other states. Yeah. So what will 2024 bring? So this is what we're gonna have a discussion. Well, nobody knows exactly, but at least we analyze all the information we have, and then we move on from there. So this is this is some statistics that I have collected. So property market values have risen about 11% since COVID happened. So COVID happened like in 2020, right? But at the moment, we are still about 4% below the previous peak in March 2022. Now, maybe I summarize it this way so you will understand better. So this is the pre-pandemic time during the lockdown and post-pandemic. So you see the green bar. The green bar is the actual price movement of Melbourne housing market prices. Yeah. So we hit the peak in around March 2022. So that's when the RBA, the Reserve Bank of Australia, decided to increase interest rates. Now, everyone, including the banks, all the professionals, they are like expecting a huge dump in prices. Yeah. But at the end, if you see the green line, it actually only dropped about 8.1%, a tiny correction. The market, the market leaders and all that were expecting, like a 15% drop, a price drop, a 20% price drop, but that didn't happen. So in fact, it stopped, and then in 2023, prices started to grow again. So what I meant just now in my earlier slide, that it's still about 4% below the peak. It means that it's still 4% below this recent peak. But what's going to happen this year? That's what we're going to discuss, yeah? So that's basically a summary of the movement of market prices in Melbourne, property prices, yeah? So currently, our vacancy rate is sitting at 1.1%. This may be a huge surprise to you, but it's actually like we are actually in a housing crisis. Housing crisis in the sense that we don't have enough homes to house people. So this has been the hottest topic going on now in the current local property market. And on the other hand, rental demand is so big that rental prices has increased double digit in less than a year. If you have kids studying here right now, you would have noticed that how hard it is to rent a property, because every property advertised, you have a lot of people fighting to rent that property. And rental prices keep growing. With every year, like it has been a couple of years already, myself included, my rent keep increasing. Yeah. And at the moment, that happens because we are in a very undersupply situation. Remember just now I said that, interest rates were high, it increased because the local government needed to fight inflation. Yeah. So there are people with money, but they're just sitting on and waiting to see when the interest rate was stable down and start to come down. So once that happened, people will rush in to buy again. And also COVID disrupted construction a lot. A lot of supply issue, not enough workers and things like that. I don't see anyone here, but there are some clients who will understand what I meant here. You bought a property, and then the delivery was delayed. Yeah. But right now the market is sort of picking up, things are stabilizing a little, but the construction cost did not come down. It hasn't come down. So it has increased about 30%. Remember, this is very important. Yeah. Construction cost has increased 30% since then. So it just means that it is more expensive for developer to build properties now. And return of overseas students, holiday workers, expats. Last year, Australia had over 650,000 new occupants. That means when I said that, it's net, not just people coming in, but it took into consideration people who came in and people who left. Over 650,000. In Melbourne, I think we had about 180,000 new people in here. So this again put a lot of pressure on rental market. The opening of China and the increased interest from India, that also contributed to this, and we have decade low unemployment rate. So just sharing with you some of the news headline that you may not get this in Malaysia. That's why if you follow us, or stay in our WhatsApp system, occasionally we'll be sharing this kind of information or news with you. I think sometimes I share it on my Facebook. Yeah. So this all just tell you like how severe our rental crisis is at the moment. Now, let's start with the demand. Population growth. The most important ingredient in like the property market is population, right? You need population to be able to absorb the housing stock, and then like your property price will grow when you have more and more people coming in. Yeah. So population growth remains the key drive for Australia property prices. So you can see on my graph that it fell in 2021. That's natural. Everybody knew COVID happened, but it very quickly came back up. And of course, last year, I think the numbers last year, maybe it's a one-off, but because, China opened up, some other countries open up, people start coming in, but it will still continue to be very strong in the next few years, as you can see on the graph. Yeah. So this is the population net overseas migration, as I mentioned just now. Now, this is an important metric to monitor overseas migrants, because overseas migrants coming into Australia, they also bring their living preferences, which is often for medium and higher density forms of living. Again, remember this, it's going to be important also in later part of my presentation for us to understand what this is. Yeah. And as you can see, 2023 is the highest, but then the forecast, even though it will sort of correct itself a little bit, it's still going to maintain high. So it will still be about, like close to 100K a year. people coming in. Just to give you a bit of homework, average household size in Australia is 2.5 people per household, yeah? So you take this like, let's say 100,000 people coming in, you divide by 2.5, you see how many homes needed just to house these migrants, not to mention locals, yeah? And of course, here's a whole range of news, this is the first one, is the latest one, 12th of April. Foreign millionaires, Singaporeans are calling Australia home now. Melbourne, reviewed as the top offshore location, for home seekers. All these are telling you how hot the market is among foreign buyers. I mean, people like yourself, yeah? And this is I forgot about this slide. So this is just to show you, this is from the Australian Treasury, the number of, the top countries, people who buy investment approvals here in the past year, 2023, yeah? So you can see China, Hong Kong, Vietnam. I mean, Malaysians, we don't even make the list. So these are the top Asian countries, people who come here. UK still maintained as one of the highest. A lot of UK people like Australia because of the weather. It's nice, it's English speaking. So we still do that. China is the largest source of approved residential real estate in numbers last year. And this is this is a piece of information I gathered from a company called Henley and Partners. Henley and Partners, they are a global company that help millionaires migrate, from one country to another. So they published this last year. The green dots basically mean that millionaire migrants moving into the country, and the red dots basically means that people who are leaving. Now, of course, the largest amount of people leaving their own country is China, India, and then Russia for obvious reason, UK. But who's the winner in getting millionaire migrants? Australia was number one, followed by UAE, and then Singapore. So Australia still remains really, really attractive to a lot of people from around the world. So again, Melbourne's high population growth. I think I don't need to tell you already, we have a lot of, we have very high population growth and expecting more, yeah? So this was last year's number. So last year we are basically, in terms of numbers, we're basically the highest. We get Victoria, it's where Melbourne is. We get the highest number of migrants. In terms of percentage, we are number, we are just under Western Australia, where Perth is, yeah. Now, we talk about demand, that's very quickly. So it's very clear, demand is there, demand and appetite for housing is there. And we talk about, now we look at supply, what's happening now in the market, because I've been talking about not enough housing. So why is that, and things like that. So we're going to examine it, yeah. I always like to start with this. This is Plan Melbourne, is like a local government initiative, right? So they are planning, to build Victoria, to build this state to accommodate new people. This was first published in 2017. At that time, they said that the city will need to build another 1.6 million people in the next 30 years, yeah? So, sorry about these 33 years, maybe I've had this for a while, but basically that translates to, they need to build 48.5 thousand homes a year just to catch up with demand, yeah? That was in 2017 when they make that when they announced that number. Now, but we are not building fast enough. We have more people coming in than anticipated, right? So all these news, in the market, everyone realize now that the government is not approving projects quick enough. Plus, because of COVID and all that, now as a developer, if I want to undertake a certain project, I have to really think twice or three times, because now the cost of land did not go down. It's still so high, and my cost of constructing this, my construction cost and my labor cost are so much higher now. So that's why also, I mean, I will touch on that. It's a question that I get asked a lot. Like when we recommend clients to buy projects these days, we prefer them to buy into a project that, at least if it's not built yet, it's backed by very, very strong developers and builders. Or we prefer client to buy something that's completed or already they already started construction or halfway through, yeah. And we are just not building enough because of that some of these what I just talk about. So, and the next one I'll show you, housing market, building activity. So this is basically the blue lines shows you the dwellings units commenced, yeah, and the yellow line shows you the number of houses completed. So I know that this only ends at 2022, I mean, or 2020, no, around 2023, yeah. But it shows you that the highest number of activities commenced was around 2017, 2018. If you remember, if you have been following Melbourne property market as long as we have, you will remember that back in 2015, 2016, a lot of projects were being marketed in Malaysia at that time. You have so many choices, so many things to choose from, yeah, especially high density projects. But then some clients who come to me and say, hey, how come you only have these few projects with that? But the thing is, the reality is there's actually not a lot of projects being launched at the moment, and there's not enough, that they're not building enough. That's what's happening right now. And remember the first slide just now I showed you about supply? But last year in September 2023, the Victoria State Government announced that it now, instead of 48,000 homes a year, it now needs to build 80,000 homes a year in the next 10 years just to cope with this housing crisis. And the state said, however, even though they need 80,000 homes, but they're only on track to build 54,000 homes. I didn't have time to include a new numbers here. In January this year, only about 2,000 over homes were being approved. So we're still not going to catch up with this. So this is going to be quite a long-term situation for now. And then we talked about this already. So I would just show you where I got the 1.1% vacancy rate from earlier on. So you can see that, our vacancy rate is at the lowest ever in the history of Victoria housing market. Hang on, or is it not moving? Okay. Now let's look at the market. So we talk about vacancy rate. So everything in all the areas, vacancy rates are anticipated to remain very, very low. Again, renters are once again having to make lifestyle choices about the type of dwellings or type of homes that they need to occupy. Rental growth. Sorry. Buyer's preference. I talked about, earlier on that I want to share this information because my team and I, when we speak to a lot of people, you may still be in the mindset of an investor, say 10 years ago, yeah? Right now, the buyer's preference have already shifted. Time has changed. In the past, like if you have met me 15 years ago, I'll tell you don't buy an apartment in Melbourne, buy a house. But as a professional, I have to change my view, my point of views when things change. Yeah. So right now, buyer's preference, because of COVID, because of everything, because of the younger generations lifestyle choices, people want to be close to the city, want to be close to their work or school, and amenity is really important. Walking distance to shops, or at least a short drive from shops. Public transport is important. Medical care. People no longer want to travel a long way, like drive a really long way to work and stuff like that. Although this is a very generalized buyer's preference, but this is what I collected mostly from younger generation. Maybe people are much younger than myself. Yeah, that's because they are going to be your property renters. They are going to be your property buyers in the next 5 to 10 years time as they're growing up, right? So I ask a lot of my clients' children or my local friends here, would you want to stay in a 4-bedroom house with a big garden 30 kilometers away, or would you want to stay in a smaller apartment? They're like, I don't really care about space. I want to be close to everything, so it's convenient to me. I want to be close to people I hang out with, people of my own age. So that summarized it, that inner city suburbs are becoming really, really popular. Now, what's inner city suburbs? This is a map showing you the regions of metropolitan Melbourne, yeah? So the first line shows you 10 kilometer away, 20, 30, 40. Now, anything under 10 kilometer away from the CBD, we classify as inner city suburb, okay? So, like your North Melbourne, South Melbourne, all the way up to Hawthorne, like on the north, Preston, Footscray. So these are your inner city suburbs. Inner city suburbs are more established. Okay, they were there for a longer time, and most of them have access to good public transport. Yeah, it also means that it's higher density. Now, prices. This slide, it's about, I wanted to show you that the gap between apartment and houses, they're in the same area, it's growing wider and wider. Okay. So if I say, okay, look at these inner city suburb, it's really nice. Look at the apartment price, like say it's 700,000 or something. You might ask me, what can I buy? Can I buy a house in the same price? No, you can't. And it's at the moment sitting at on average 53% gap, but in some areas it's even wider, meaning that even if you invested in this apartment and then you say, oh, I worry that I lose money because people told me, like apartments, capital growth doesn't grow. Let's say you are in an area, right, where all the houses there are $2, $3, $4 million. It is completely a different market to apartments, because people who want to live in this beautiful area, this really nice area, who cannot afford houses, will look at apartments then. Yeah, so it doesn't create a competition between these two products in the same location. It's only if you want to compare, say, an apartment in an area closer to the CBD, or a house of similar price a bit further away. Yeah. So these are some of the consideration. Of course, in our one-to-one chat with our clients, we will try to explain that. Now, so to summarize, the increasing demand for apartments, widening price gap, I just talked about it, yeah? Lifestyle preferences and changes. Younger generation, they are less willing to sacrifice their location for the space, okay? Housing shortages, smaller household size, that means that more and more homes are needed. In the old days, like in the 60s, one house is 4%, 5%, but now it's not that case anymore. And of course, strong population growth. And I just made this slide. So Australian families, we're not just talking about migrants, yeah. Australian families are also becoming smaller. So they in fact, 4-bedroom, 5-bedroom town houses are not as popular anymore in recent studies or recent research found by real estate agent in the second-hand market. Yeah, most people are looking for 2-3 bedders kind of properties at the moment. And I would like to share this one very quickly. So if you look at this chart, okay, let's look at the year, which is in the middle, yeah? On the left, it's apartment launches, and the right, it's apartment commencements. What's been launched may not have been built, but let's look at that. Remember earlier on, I said, back in 2014, 15, 16, those years, you would have seen a lot of apartment projects being marketed in Asia. Okay, not just Malaysia, Singapore, Hong Kong, those kind of places. And then, as the time passes by, as you can see, especially after COVID, we had less and less projects being built, being launched and built. That's why when you speak to me sometimes, or one of my colleagues, say, can I have, do you have other choices? But sometimes it's not that we don't want to share more choices to you. It's just that there's really very little in the market at the moment, yeah, which is actually good. Doesn't make you so confused. And hang on. Sorry. Okay. And apartment completions. This is more important than apartment launches or commencements. Yeah. What has been completed? So again, you see that because, like in the 14, 15, 16, there were a lot of commencement. So naturally, 17, 18, or even 2020, you saw a lot of completion. But these completion are getting lesser and lesser and lesser as we go. Yeah. So this year we will have less than last year. And then the next few years as well, because there's not enough projects being launched in the market. So deliveries are anticipated to fall further over the next 3 years. So what type of housing is getting more popular? Again, I'm coming back to what I told you just now earlier on. So if inner city suburbs are becoming more and more popular, or maybe the middle ring as well, apartments and townhouses have become really popular in the last, maybe townhouses a bit more so, and apartments are becoming more and more popular. And also, when you have large numbers of migrants, right? Let's say you're migrating to a new city, your first 5 years, you may say, okay, I don't know yet where I want to buy my forever home in Melbourne because I need time to see which area, which pocket, which jalan I prefer. Yeah. So you'll tend to rent or buy first. Okay, let's buy a smaller apartment or a medium-sized apartment in a convenient place near the city first. Let's stay there first. And then we decide where we'll go. So that's why these type of smaller properties are actually, and also because they are more affordable, yeah, are becoming really, really popular. Now, lastly, I will share with you what are the major banks' prediction for this year. So I didn't make this up. So I basically copied this from a newspaper article and placed it here. So almost all banks are forecasting an increase in price in Melbourne this year. It's not going to be like double digit, or the kind of 10, 15%, but it's going to slowly creep up. And as an investor, you will know that as well. Right now, our RBA has already paused the interest rate increase for many, many months, okay? And I've been attending seminars and conference in the industry. I've been speaking to people. Most people are expecting interest rates will start to come down. I won't say in 6 months' time. I would say probably 8, 9 months' time. So imagine those people now in the market who are ready to buy a property, just waiting for the price to drop. The interest rate. Once the borrowing rates are becoming slower, means that they can borrow more money, they will start buying again. All these people are just waiting, yeah? And that's why prices will go up again, once this happens. So all in here, how does this relate to you, you might ask? Now, if you are thinking of buying a property here, number one, for more obvious reasons, like you need to buy a property for your children or for your child who is studying here, who wants to continue living in Melbourne, make a life here, or or helping your younger children, okay, to plan ahead. Now, this is the time where you can actually buy a property because you have financing from Malaysia, if you're Malaysian, which is a lot cheaper than Australia. So that's an advantage to you at the moment. Local rates, like myself, for my investment property, I'm paying 6.57%, yeah, local Australian interest rate. In Malaysia, Maybank, CIMB, they're offering 4.8 to 5%, my mistake. So it is the cost of borrowing is a lot cheaper. And now you're buying into this price. Imagine once the local borrowing interest rate starts to come down, the market will move again. Even the rate, the 12 or 13 rate increases we've had did not dampen the property market. It's not going to dampen it later on, yeah? Remember just now, people were expecting price to dump 15-20%, but it actually only corrected about 8.1%, yeah, from my earlier slide. So that is why we do seminars like that, because sometimes it's hard for Malaysians, especially you don't read local Australian news, you don't live here, you don't get it. But I think parents who have children studying here will understand what I'm talking about a little bit more. Now, I recently made a new video on YouTube. If you follow my YouTube, you would have seen it, but I thought I'll just share it here as well since it's still fresh. I made a video highlighting a few misconceptions about property investment in Melbourne, yeah? So if you are new, if you haven't heard this will be really good for you. Now, the first one, a lot of people, when they first contacted us, they say, I want to buy a Melbourne apartment in the CBD. CBD is the best. That's the first misconception. Some developers will kill me for saying this, but normally CBD apartments in Melbourne will not be the first choice of a project that we will recommend our clients unless your needs or very special needs and requirements align with it. That usually won't be the first choice, because CBD apartments, they attract mostly renters from overseas, especially your international students. Don't get me wrong, international students pay some of the highest rent. So if you have a CBD apartment, you should be getting very, very good rental income for now. However, in terms of capital growth, it is not as good as the other suburbs, the other markets, yeah? Even if you go to a bank will say, look, your valuation may be lower than your actual purchase price. That's just because when you buy a property here, when you want to resell, you cannot sell to another foreigners. Yeah, you have to sell to the local, but local people don't live in the CBD. I'm not saying zero, but majority of us live outside of the city. Yeah, because the CBD can be quite noisy, and then there's you come down, it's all shops and all that. There's less like wider areas, parks and all that. Yeah, less car parks. Everything is expensive there. So local people don't live in the CBD. Secondly, this one, I know a lot of people try to argue with me. People always say, I want to buy next to the uni. I understand if you want to buy a place for your kids to study, the nearer the better. Just walk 5 minutes can already. Now, if I always say, depending on where is the uni, if your uni is in busy area like Melbourne Uni, RMIT in the city, or even like Monash Caulfield, you don't want to be next to the university, because it might be good for the 2-3 years or up to 5 years your kids studying there. You buy a property there, but after they have finished, either they want to continue staying there when they are a working adult already. They don't want to be living with all other students, yeah, because most of these properties in these few locations I just mentioned, they're just going to be students, and you only appeal to that particular demographic. You don't appeal to, like myself, I don't want to live next to a student, like all students, like my neighbors are all students, right? And then so when you want to sell this property, it might be difficult as well, like who you can sell it to, yeah? I won't buy it from you. I want to stay in somewhere that it's more residential area. So you can still buy in an area relatively close to the city or has, sorry, not the city, the uni, or have really good public transport to the university that in the future you can get good rental, you can resell it with decent capital growth, or your child or children can continue staying there, right? So these are our things. Sorry, I'm talking a bit too long now. And then the next one is cheaper property is better. Now, I think this doesn't just apply to Melbourne, this applies everywhere. Not a lot of people say this, but there are some who think that, okay, I'm going to buy the cheapest property available in the area. That's not often a good idea. We will help you analyze if we think that, or like this, this property is cheap, is the cheapest in the area, but it's also good location and all that. I would say, okay, this is good deal, take it. But not often, yeah. Like in some areas, some suburb, there can be projects that are much more expensive and projects that are really cheap. Now, cheap property sometimes they're cheap for a reason. Location, maybe lack of amenities, and quality. Yeah. So these are also some of the things we go through with our clients in our one-to-one chat. So all of the above would contribute to one thing. If you have heard of friends, or family who has invested in Melbourne and say, oh, we lost money, the price won't grow on. It is very often it's because they committed one of the few mistakes that I just mentioned. Yeah. Okay. Let's look at some maps. All right. Now we're just going to do some introduction. I mean, because my colleague Kelvin also introduced Perth like this, so I'm going to do it this way. First of all, just to show you, Melbourne is here. Melbourne is the largest city in the state of Victoria. And then Geelong is here. This is the second largest city in the state of Victoria, but we won't be looking at Geelong, just showing you, yeah? So you can see that all the white bits here, the light colored bits here, these are all established area, all the way down south. Okay, like Frankston is here, Mornington Peninsula is here. So these are the more built up area. Now on the eastern side, I'll just tell you this is not possible to go beyond this because this is a state forest, like Mount Dandenong and all that. Yeah, so most likely it's going to continue to expand towards the western side or maybe towards the eastern side a little bit. Okay. Now let's look at where all the key universities are. The red ones are the popular ones. So you have Melbourne University in Carlton, you have RMIT University main campus in the city, you have Victoria University. So Monash have two campuses, both very popular. You have Monash University in Caulfield, Monash University in Clayton, you have Deakin, you have Swinburne, La Trobe, and RMIT Bandura up here. Melbourne Uni will have a new campus very soon. It's in an area called Fisherman Bend or next to Port Melbourne. This is the new big campus that will house the faculty of, I think, maybe aerospace and science around here. Yeah. And around in Werribee, there are also a few university campuses around here. So these are the key universities around. So let's look at this like closer. In the central, you have RMIT University and Melbourne University main campus here. And then you have Swinburne in Hawthorn, you have Monash in Caulfield and Victoria here. So projects that we usually sell to our clients, what's available, I won't say what's not available. If you live in anywhere around here or around here, they have very good transportation to all these universities, and they are in some of these areas I talk about, really lively, it's safe, shops, parks and everything, and it's close to the city, yeah? And then like, if you look at down south a little bit, we have Deakin University in Burwood, we have Monash, Clayton around here. So these are some of the areas. And then on the northeastern side, you have La Trobe University here, and another one of RMIT's main campus is in Bandura. It's located here. So these are the areas where we won't recommend you to buy apartments, but we recommend you to buy townhouses in here. Even though you say, oh, it looks quite far, but actually it's not. Melbourne to Reservoir, it's only about 13 kilometer, something like that. It's like from here to here, it's like Mont Kiara to KLCC, around that distance, yeah. So these are basically, I show this map based on universities because a lot of you are parents and you might be more interested in that. So to us, right, I'm going to suggest this more. I recognize some of you here that you have spoken to us. Maybe it's hard to explain why we always insist on, okay, let's have a discovery session, either with me or with my colleagues that you are speaking to, yeah. The reason is because some people say, oh, you just WhatsApp me the projects, I'll look at it. But if you don't live here and if you're not a professional like myself or my colleagues, right, it's very hard for you to just look at the project brochure. This one looks nice. This is good or not. It's very hard. So we insist on having a discovery session because we need to understand first your requirements, your budget, and your plans for this. Because we don't also want you to waste money. This may not be a suitable investment for you. Then we said, okay, that's fine. Nice to at least get to know you, but maybe it's not the right time yet. We relook at this 2 or 3 years later. But then it's like, Jolene, I'm really interested. I just want to know where I should buy and what I should buy. Then we will ask you questions in the first session. We'll give you some suggestion how to structure your purchase and like whether you buy under your name or your child's name, if you need financing or not. So this is extremely important. So I urge you, if you haven't done that or you want to do it one more time, just let us know, yeah? And like it or not, we want you to be successful because that is the surest way of us staying in business. Yeah. Otherwise, we'll be out of business. So we want everybody to win. Okay. And then you may ask, so like you say you want to focus on helping me to be successful. How? I think though I cannot say we are the best in the market, but at least, we have the knowledge. We have been doing this for a long time. We know the law, we know the market, we understand each area. Even one suburb, you have a good part and a bad part. So we try to mitigate everything to help you with it. And we give you examples of journeys that other parents or other investors have taken, our personal investment journey. So we share with you so you get more idea. It's not just looking at a brochure and decide, oh, should I buy this or not? Yeah. Okay. Now, financing, I think most of you already know, financing is available to Malaysians who are not PR of Australia. So we have CIMB, Maybank, I think OCBC as well. As your first choice. I always say if you are qualified for CIMB, Maybank or Malaysian banks, they are the cheapest, okay? And then you have the private lenders. Private lenders are basically second tier financier. They are not banks, but they are licensed mortgage company to give you a finance. Now, of course, there's a catch. The rates will be more expensive because this is what they do, yeah? However, they are legit, they are good in giving you finance if you can't get financing elsewhere, but you need it like for a short term or whatever, okay? So speak to us if you need to get in touch with some of these private lenders. Other type of financing is more wide. It depends on yourself. Like I'll give you a few examples. I have clients who have a lot of assets in Malaysia. So they use their assets in Malaysia to get financing on that property, and then they use that money to buy a home in Melbourne for the children. Yeah, that is also one way, because I think sometimes with your relationship with certain banks, especially you're doing business, you might be able to get it at a very, very good rate. So that's one way. Another way is if you are, for example, if you are a HSBC Premier customer, I think there are some requirements as well. HSBC as a global bank, as they advertise, they often say that if you are a HSBC in this country and you want to buy a property in another country where we have HSBC, they are able to give you finance. It worked for some of my clients here, but because Australian interest rate has gotten so higher at the moment, so I still think that the local Maybank CIMB might be a better choice. So at any time you want to get your financing access, contact us. We will put you in touch. The reason why I always stress this, you will hear me talking about this in our first meeting. Do you need financing? Then get it assessed. The reason is why you need that is so it helps you to narrow down what properties you can buy, because sometimes the difference of $50,000, right, can open up a few more projects to you to choose from. Yeah, so that is something that we want clients to tick off before we continue our property search. Yeah. These are some of our project selection criteria. We do consider proximity to universities and schools, public transportation, shops, eateries, medical amenities, obviously safe and friendly environment. There are certain areas in Melbourne that we will never recommend to our clients. We often also look into the developers, the builders, are they strong enough? We look at the development planning and design, quality, and of course we compare pricing. Yeah. So a few projects that are kind of new. This one is in St Kilda. So as you know, St Kilda, it's very close. St Kilda is very close to Port Phillip Bay, very close to the sea. Yeah. This project was launched just, I think, a few months ago. Very low density, only 80 units. It's a lot. There's another project that's launched by another Malaysian developer, I think nearby it, and we have compared it. We prefer this one because the price is much better, quality-wise as well, and the location. So it's under construction now. That's a good thing. They have started construction before they launched the project and moved in by end of next year, 2025. It's walking distance to shops, the St Kilda Beach and amenities, yeah. And it has direct tram to Melbourne University and Monash in Caulfield. So people who live here, you can take a tram to here, Monash University in Caulfield, and obviously to RMIT and to Melbourne University. The tram goes through the city like this, yeah. So 1 bedroom with a car park for this project starts from 650, and 2 bedroom starts from about 819. Okay. Another project that we will recommend if you want something very, very close to the city. This one's new. It haven't started construction. It's about 180 units. Quite low density for a location so close to the city. It's next to the art precinct. If you've been in Melbourne and if you have been to the National Art Gallery, that's where it's very close to there. So if you can see, the project is called Aria. It's located here on my small little map. And you can see this is the art center, the art gallery. Yeah. 1 bedder starts from about 560. 2 bedrooms start from about 890. But this one project hasn't started. Just so you know, if you need to time this with your kids' usage and all that, may not, it may be a bit too long. Yeah, completion estimated end of 2026. For clients who have been talking to me recently, you might notice that I did not propose this project to you because we're talking about another project nearby here that has leftover units. So I'm expecting that project to be gone very, very soon. So the next one we'll be looking at in the area will be this, yeah. Another one, this one, it's not a new project, but a new phase. I have recently looked at it. It's in an area called Alphington or next to Kew. If you are familiar with Melbourne, you know that Kew is a very, very expensive housing estate. It's around here. A lot of greeneries. You can see that stretching all the way from Abbotsford, Kew, and all the way to Heidelberg. Yeah, very beautiful part of Melbourne. You see all the thing here, all the greeneries here. So it's very close to the city. You can see it's only about 6.5 kilometer away from the CBD, yeah. And it has I'm very sorry, I forgot to change this part, but it's okay. Just ignore this, yeah. I'll talk about it. So it's 6.5 kilometer away, and it has direct buses to the city. I think to Melbourne Uni as well. And then it is close, I think about 450 meters away from a train station. So Yarra Bend is actually a master plan. There were a lot of townhouses that were already built, and now they're launching their apartments. The apartments here, one bedroom, unfortunately, I think it's sold out. They didn't make a lot as well because this area attracts more young families, people who need more than one apartment. The two-bedders will start from about around 800. The nicer two-bedders, the bigger ones, will be about 900,000, yeah, in this area. This is a townhouse project. I just want to maybe share one townhouse project that I think it's near completion. I think end of this year. It's still within the 10 to 20 kilometer radius away. It's actually next to RMIT University Bandura and La Trobe University in this area here. Now, this project, if you are after something that you need your child to be able to get to university relatively quickly, like within half an hour to 40 minutes, this project, if you're studying, say, in Monash universities, it may not be that suitable, but it is a townhouse, 3 bedrooms starting from 4,749, 800. There is no direct. The mode of public transport here is mainly buses. There's a tram stop about maybe 10, 15 minutes walk away. And then there is a train station that's about 10 minutes on a bus ride from this side, yeah? But if your child drives, has a car, it may not be a bad idea. Okay, so this one is new. We just got it recently. It's about 18 kilometers from the CBD. Now, the project of the day, I still recommend Essendon Apartments, yeah? Luminous Apartment in Essendon. A few of you has spoken to me about this, like some of you have shown this earlier on. Only left 4 units, maybe 3 now. 8 kilometers from the city, it's so close. It is very, very good for kids. I mean, your children who study in RMIT or Melbourne University. It's next to a train station. You see this picture here. You walk across the street, the train station is there. The train station to Melbourne Central Station is only 16 minutes. I've taken it myself. If your child is studying in RMIT, they just need to walk across the street, get into a train, get to Melbourne Central in 16 minutes and walk to RMIT in 2 minutes, yeah? So this is extremely good. And the best thing is the only project I have in such good location that's under 700,000. So I strongly, strongly advise again, if you want something ready soon and you can rent out soon, this is a project not to be missed. 68 units only, and not just train station, it's close to tram stop and buses. You basically have whole 3 public transport in front of you. And Essendon is a very affluent suburb. It's called Toorak of the North. It has, apart from Toorak, it has one of the highest number of private schools, public schools, all the good ones around here. Okay, so this is the one. Now, I've included a map here just to give you an idea. If you are after townhouses, these are the price range. These are the little dots according to their colors, their price range, where are they located, yeah? So again, I won't go too much into this. Now, this is the end of my presentation. Let me invite Jeremy Leong, who is the registered migration agent who is based in KL. I promise you guys I'll get him to share with you guys what he does for Malaysian family. Yeah, Jeremy, you can unmute yourself and let me check my.
Yeah,
Okay.
you can hear me and see me clearly.
Yes.
Fantastic. Thank you, Jolene, for the opportunity to introduce myself to the webinar today. Such a detail. I don't want to take so much of everyone's time. I'll just do a quick introduction of myself and also the 2 possible pathways to get permanent residency to Australia. Yeah. I'll just share with you my screen now so that you will be able to see my entire screen. Yeah. Just a quick introduction on myself. My name is Jeremy Leong. Anyone that gives advice on migration to Australia must be registered with the Office of the Migration Agents Registration Authority. You can go to this website, mara.gov.au. You can search for a registered agent. My surname is Leong, or my company name is Living Without Borders. And you will be able to see my registration number. My current status is registered, my details accordingly. And of course, this is my picture. My office is in PJ, my registered office. I live in Subang. I'm located in PJ, and I've been in the industry for about 5 years. All right. So there are 4 major benefits of why my clients choose a permanent residency to Australia. So I assist people with visa, all types of visas to Australia. So there are 4 major benefits why my clients choose a permanent residency to Australia. What I wanted to say is, of course, the first benefit is Medicare. 90% of medical bills is covered by the public hospitals in Australia through the Medicare tax system. All right. Number 2 is education. Education for your kids in high school and primary school is free. When you go to when they go to university, it is 60 to 70% difference in price comparing to a foreigner. Of course, the third major benefit is the median wage, or the minimum wage in Australia now for most skilled occupations is 70,000 Australian dollars a year. Fourth major benefit, everyone, you can Google Centrelink Australia. Centrelink Australia is where they disperse, is a government unit that disperses social welfare benefits from childcare. Your first childcare, you will get benefits. You are unemployed, you get benefits accordingly. Of course, pension and superannuation accordingly. So these are just some of the 4 major benefits I would say my clients get a permanent resident to Australia. I'm giving general information only. It's very detailed in terms of visa, and it's very customized depending on your profile. But there are 2 major pathways to permanent residency to Australia. Number 1 is if you are above 45 years old, you go through something called a skilled visa, also known as general skilled migration. It is for the working professionals, like your engineers, medical staffs, IT specialists, chefs. The skilled occupation list is quite wide. Yeah. And if you are above 45 years old, generally the only pathway for you is through business and investment visas, where throughout the visa criteria, either you start a business in Australia and run it for 2 years, or you invest a certain amount of money into funds in Australia. So yeah, that's about it. I wanted to introduce. Of course, we do all the visas like partner visas, parent visas, visit visas, student visas, your graduate visas, and all that. If there's any questions, can get my number from Jolene, and then I will be able to answer it accordingly. Thank you, Jolene, for the time.
No problem. Thank you, Jeremy, for joining us. I hope everyone can get some information here. Now, if you guys would like to speak to Jeremy or make an appointment, do let us know. You have Phoebe's contact details, yeah? You have our contact details. If not, you just type in the chat box, just type Jeremy, and then we will note it down. Phoebe will note it down, and then we will help you to make the connection later on. Okay. Thank you. Okay, now we have some questions here that that we received from just now when I speak. Just a few. Alex, welcome again. Good job, you're here, and I heard you're coming to Melbourne to meet us soon. Okay, with the rental crisis and short supply, is there any indication that the Australian government will clamp down on investors? Look, this is a question that I think is quite political, and I don't have a yes or no answer, but what I can share is just some sentiments. Yeah, I think the Australian government has done a lot to help to protect their own people, but they cannot clamp down on investors, like shut them out forever, because they still need investors to come in, buy this property and rent it out. For every property that an investor buy, it basically get released back to the rental market. Yeah, they still need these rental properties for all these comers to come. So They have introduced some steps, like making you pay FIRB fee and all that, and they may increase the fee. Usually, if I would always say now it's April. Normally, if any changes come, it comes on the 1st of July. So if you want to take advantage of everything, do everything, sign your contract, everything before 1st of July. Then you are safe from any further fees increase. Okay. Now, Joshua, we've been talking to you a lot. I think Mika will send to you all these information later on. Let me see. You did ask a question that a lot of people ask me before, so I'll answer that one here. So far, the properties within the inner city suburbs are above 500K. Are there anything less than that? I'll tell you, for new properties, zero, nothing. Even old properties, it's extremely hard to find. Yeah. So we have gone through this for the last 2 weeks with yourself, Joshua. So you will know that inner city suburbs, especially they're under 10K from the city, it's impossible. Anything 500K, we can find maybe 30, 40 kilometers away. Yeah. We can still potentially find that. Now, I even have clients who ask me, can I buy anything with 300,000? Look, remember just now I mentioned that when you buy property, don't really go for the cheapest one. I have actually turned away clients to say, why don't you save your money? And with 300,000, you may buy a better property in Malaysia. So we understand everyone has a budget, but we try our best to mitigate that. For 500K, it depends. Like if you're buying for a child to use, and if you get them a car, maybe it's okay. But if you're relying on public transport, you'll be very far away. So we look at everyone's requirement individually. So I won't talk too much about it. Stephen, you asked if foreigner needs permit to invest in property in Melbourne. Short answer is yes, but it's not really a permit. It's basically you apply from FIRB, the Foreign Investment Review Board, for an approval. Now, in our history of selling Australian properties to Malaysian, such approvals are normally granted. It's just a formality. To go through it, you need to apply and you need to pay a fee to apply. So this fee is non-refundable, or if you change your mind, you buy the property already, you don't want to buy later, cannot. So the fee now, FIRB fee is 14,100 per property, and you have to apply this as soon as you sign your contract. Yeah. So you do need some sort of approval from them. Okay. SST, yes, you would like more details on Luminous. Can you make sure that Phoebe, can you send to us your name so we can find you on our database so we can get in touch with you? Yeah. Please let us know your name so we will know how to send it to you.
Yes, she already informed me.
All right. Okay. Okay, so any one of you, apply FIRB or sign. Okay, Stephen, you asked a good question. Apply FIRB first or sign S&P first. Now, by right, legally, you need to apply first and then sign S&P. But nowadays, we always ask clients, okay, you don't waste your money. You can sign the S&P because we will negotiate, or the developer would have already included a clause in the S&P or the sales contract here that say this contract is subject to client applying and obtaining FIRB approval within like how long, like 30 days or something from you signing the contract. Yeah. So that way you are safe. You secure the unit you want. And then if for whatever reason your FIRB is not approved, then the contract is not, it's voided. Okay. So you get back your deposit and whatever. So yes. So you can sign the contract and apply for FIRB. Okay, let me see if there's anything else. So okay, I hope oh sorry. Is FIRB tie up with that specific property? Normally, yes. If you sign the contract for that property, then you have to use the FIRB. Unless you can apply, I think you can also apply FIRB with but you have to give them I think a a price range. Yeah? Let's say you want to buy a property that's like $1 million or something, then, but without a property specific. But I don't know, I'm not sure because my clients have never done that before. I'm not sure how it works because FIRB now, the lawyers are not really able to apply on your behalf now. They made some changes. You have to do it yourself, which we will guide you through it. So I think there is an option for you to apply an FIRB, but it will only have it will only last for a period of time and in that price range, yeah, exactly that price range. Anyone else has any question, or you will need any appointments with us? Please let me know. Yeah, okay. If nothing else, that's it for today. Thank you so much for your time, and we will end this webinar. Yeah, no problem. You're welcome, Alex. Thank you, everyone.